Alright, I need to trim the edge off this. And this is so thick. I think I need to use the angle grinder. Right here there was a spot where I don't know, one of the first layers hardened before I got everything together, and it kind of held itself up while the other layers adhered. So I ended up just ripping that off, and I can just go over that with a bit of resin. I think I only lost maybe one layer of fiberglass there, so maybe I'll put a little patch in and then resin it over. Not a big thing though, it's still super strong. Well, the bottom looks pretty good. Just a bit of cleanup. Alright, so this is where the edge of the pontoon is, which means I have to cut this back. Because the top of the pontoon I want to be about here, like an inch and a half up from there, so I just have to cut that like that. Well, like 2 inches about. Yeah. Wait a minute. The pontoons do come up at the front and the back. So if I wanted to make the floor flat, I could actually recess this like 3 inches, and then this would be a little bit lower in the front, and then the other one maybe do it like 2.5 ish. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I guess I should go measure it to make sure I cut it the right amount. And in the middle of the night, high tide brought it over here. Marvelous. Maybe I should tie it to the side right there so it stays. Alright, because of the way I made the pontoon tops, they go like this, and then like it's an angle up. It's not like a gradual thing. So I only have to like submerge the front cross piece by 2.5 extra inches. And that should make the entire floor flat. Which I think is a good idea. Alright, hope that's right. This looks kind of scary cutting this much off. But supposedly my measurement is roughly accurate, you know, which I measured kind of by eyeball. Anyway, hopefully this will fit. Oh, I still have to sand around the edges to get the wax off so it'll stick when I attach it. But first let me clean up this one. Wow, big difference.
It seems like I buy like 20 clips, and then a week later I'm down to 5.
Those are some good looking thingies. What are the chances they'll fit? Just swam some laps and got some lunch. A little bit. Guess I better measure it. But wow, other than that, yeah. Man, those are gonna be spectacular. They're both just a little bit too far forward. So measure, figure out exactly where I want them to go. That doesn't look like a bad spot actually where they are right now. Maybe I'll measure what the distance here is and go with that because it looks pretty good. I think I want to stick with what I decided before, which is 1 meter distance between each one of these. So I need to cut off a little bit from here, and there, and up there. Take off 1.5 inches. Inch and 5/8. 2 inches and 2.5. Okay, all fixed. 1 meter apart. Man, that's looking good. Okay, before I attach them, I should put a couple holes in the bottom because I'm not going to be capping these ends yet because I'm not sure if they're going to tie into the verticals or what. So I'm just leaving them open, but you know, water is going to get in there, so I want it to be able to get out the bottom. And maybe I'll just end up leaving them hollow right through. I don't know. It would be kind of a convenient spot to put tubes and stuff, or to hide guinea pigs, or whatever. I just pulled the boat over here from over there, and I have to admit, I got a little bit excited seeing it slide through the water. Oh man, it looks good. Can't get too excited though. I still have a lot of work to do before I get to drive it around. So my front cross beams are up there, and I don't think I'm gonna fiberglass them in until later because it's blue sky, the sun's out, and it is really hot on all this black. I'll paint it something lighter later. But looking at it, I was just thinking I might just do these same beam things all the way down here. I was originally thinking of like a fatter beam back here, kind of like this one here. But you know, I can't do one like that because it'll get in the way of the doors. And those things in the front, they're pretty substantial. They're fat enough to have a lot of, you know, torsion strength. And plus there's going to be all the parts up here. I'm not going to have to worry about the twisting of one pontoon against the other very much. Oh, can't wait to drive this thing. I guess I'll go measure if I put one of these every meter and count how many I need. And start making more. Okay, I just went to measure, and if I keep the same spacing up there, that'll put one right in the middle here, and then one perfectly lined up with the back, and then one more here, and it'll leave just enough space to have like the lip and a vertical wall, which is perfect for the back. I don't know, it just worked out perfectly. You know, that kind of thing happens a lot to me, where things I haven't actually measured yet just work out perfectly. And I would say it's because I just go with instinct a lot. Like, I'll just get a feeling of, yeah, this is the right size for this, or that's the right size for this. Because I guess somewhere in my subconscious brain, it's already done all the measurements. So I know a lot of times people get hung up on measuring and having everything planned out perfectly. But, like, we have these really cool things in our brains that do all these calculations and computations, and you don't even have to do it. It'll just do it automatically as long as you let it. And just listen to it when you have these feelings of like, I think this is the right thing to do. I don't know exactly why, but it just feels like the right thing to do. And I've heard this from a lot of other people who build a lot of things. They'll just say, you know what, a lot of times I just go with my gut. And it just works out. And yeah, perfect. Alright, another one of these ready to go. Sun's going down. I do have just enough time to fiberglass those in place, but I think I'm just going to do it tomorrow or the next day. Probably tomorrow. Okay, here's the thing. this piece across here is crooked. Not that much, I'm exaggerating, but it's a little crooked. Because when I put the tops on the pontoons, I didn't really measure, and I knew they might come out, you know, uneven, and that was fine, whatever. So one's a little bit more forward than the other one, and this obviously attaches like straight along the front of them, so it's crooked. So do I want to correct that crookedness with these two things and make sure those are straight, or do I want those to just match this? Either way is fine. It's not that crooked, it's not a big deal, but you know, I'm going to think about it for a little bit before I actually lock them in. A couple inches might make a difference at some point in the future. And I'm not getting any strong gut reaction either way, so I don't know. Hey, where are you turkeys going?